All right, folks, thank you for coming back to see us. Welcome to Cooking with Two Fat Cooks. Today we are going to play around with a sheet pan dinner. We're going to make a Greek-ish style chicken. I'm also going to show you right quick how to spatchcock the bird. If you don't do this already, you're going to fall in love with this method for almost any way of cooking a whole bird. We had a three and a half pound bird we got from one of the local farmers. Took it out of the freezer about 2 days ago, stuck it in the fridge. It thawed completely in the fridge. I'm going to rearrange some stuff and we're going to start off with the bird. All right. Great. Alrighty, here we go.
Spatchcock that bird.
That's
I'm
right.
ready.
All right, so what we're going to do to start off with is we've got a small hotel pan with a grid in it. If you don't have something where you have a grid, you need to get you something with a grid. It is infinitely handy. But I'm going to take said bird, cut the binders off. Oh yeah, that would have been handy. All right. Now to spatchcock the bird, we're basically going to cut it up the backbone so we can open the whole bird up and lay it out flat. It's a great way to cook the bird. It's going to keep you from having these parts aren't done while the other parts are done. Keep stuff from drying out. It's good for grilling. It's good for oven work. Anything really. It's a beautiful way to do it. Working with whole birds is not only cheaper, it's a little bit more fun, and it's just a quick, easy thing to learn. Now, I got a pair of kitchen shears. Kitchen shears primarily are kitchen shears because they come apart so they can be washed entirely, and they're also usually a little heavier. Find you a good set of kitchen shears that fit your hand good, get them and hold on to them. They're worth their weight. Again, doesn't need to be a whole lot, but you do want one if you can find it where the metal comes all the way through the loops of the handle, because you're going to be doing a lot of bearing down, and the cheap ones will bust on you when you don't want them to.
And good grip. I think they probably all have good grip, but you don't want a slippery scissors.
No.
When you're cutting up something in the kitchen.
The old schooly ones that some of your folks probably had that had the big red loop handles, those things are a good way to cut a finger off. Yeah, you want something that's got a decent aggressive grip on it. Now basically we're going to turn the bird breast side down. We're looking at it from back to front. There's basically, the backbone runs right down the center. So what we're going to do is just go to either side of the backbone, and we're just going to begin to cut. And you're just going to follow the backbone all the way down the bird. Now again, you will need to get a little bit of oomph on these in spots, but that's again what the kitchen shears are for. Now once we've got this started a little bit, I can get it open where I can see a little better. I'm going to go ahead and pull out the neck. Any other surprises in there?
That's the dog's favorite part.
That's right. So we're just going to cut through. This old fella has been in the fridge for 2 days. We still got a little bit of ice in him, but that's fine, because when we get done with this part, it's going to sit for a little bit. So having that little bit of ice left in the middle is not going to hurt anything. And then we'll just go to the other side here and repeat the process. We're just coming right down the outside of the backbone, he says quietly. There she goes.
And if you don't have a spoiled, rotten little dog who's going to get all these bits, they're great for stock. These are a wonderful thing to put in a little baggie in the freezer, and then when it gets full of little bits, make you a nice big pot of stock. Our dog is very spoiled, and he will probably end up getting these pieces. But he's cute, so it's worth it.
Chicken necks is always good. You can always do something with chicken neck and the backbone.
And before you worry, he's going to give them raw. Dogs can eat chicken bones that have not been cooked, especially the smaller bones like the neck and the backbone.
All right.
We wouldn't
throw me a
invade him.
towel?
He's too adorable. Almost as cute as the man.
It's true. This is my junk bowl.
That's your junk bowl.
Yay. All right. Now, we got the bird's backbone cut out. We're going to take just a chef's knife. I know it's difficult to see, but the breastbone, backside of the breastbone is right here. This is that cartilage run. So we're going to take this and we're just going to real easy just kind of cut down and in. What we're trying to do is basically just sort of score the breastbone.
So you're not cutting through it.
I mean, if you do, no big deal, but I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I'm just scoring through, because what I hopefully is going to happen, so I'm going to flip this old fella over. I'm going to open him up, and I'm just going to push down, and he should pop.
So you're weakening it, so it will do that.
So it will hopefully break clean and not jut out through the meat or whatever.
Excellent. You did good.
Yeah. Now that's it. That is spatchcocking the whole bird. Later on, I'm going to show this right quick. I'll come back and do it again later on. If you were just doing this to say, you know, barbecue or something like that, the one thing you do want to do if you're going to stop at this point and do something else with the bird, take the tip of the wing and tuck it back kind of under and behind itself on the back side of the breast. That's going to keep the wing or the wing tips from burning on you, because you're going to primarily cook this skin side up, so it's sort of self-base and everything. We'll do this again when we get to later on in this video, but that's spatchcock. That's it right there. This guy from here can go and do whatever it is you're going to do with a whole bird.
You can grill it,
roast it, whatever. Again, it's just going to let everything cook fairly evenly and quickly, and you're not going to have to worry again with white meat or the breast getting real dry when you're grilling or something, because you have to get the dark meat a little more done. This eliminates that problem by giving it more mass. So it's kind of like a roast versus, you know, little bits.
and also once it's cooked and it's easier to cut up, being already spatchcocked out like that. Like if you want to cut up the pieces after you cook it,
definitely.
it's much easier now.
Yeah, prepping a whole bird out is fine if that's what you want to do, but honestly, it's a lot easier to do once it's cooked. Now, I'm going to take this fella and we're going to put him back on the grid. Can I hand you these guys, bud?
Absolutely.
All right, just hold this and let me grab the chicken.
Got it.
All right. So again, we can take this fella, we're going to put it back on the grid. We're going to put it on cut side down. And we are just going to set that aside, he says out loud in English, and just sort of let that sit and air dry a little bit while we get everything else put together. I am going to wash my hands right fast and wipe down my counter.
I'm gonna give you a clean towel for your counter.
Okay. Yay.
And here's a dry towel for you.
Bless your heart.
I'm very helpful like that.
All right, a little bit of bleach water, do the trick.
And that's another reason the hotel pan is so handy. Now you have the chicken isolated in its little pan, so you can do your other bits without having to worry about where the chicken and the chicken juice is.
100%. All right, now we got the bird put together and resting. Next step is going to be to get our vegetables put together. I have, you can use about a pound to a pound and a half potatoes. We happen to have a pound and a half. If you don't have the cutest little potatoes in the world, which are coming in really nice right now when we're filming the video, you can use, of course, full-size potatoes and just cut them up. We're going to use these little guys just to get them used. We'll take some of the bigger ones and I'm going to have them. The smaller ones we're just going to leave as they are, but we're going to get those guys. I've also got a 1/4 pound of small eggplant that we're going to wash off, split long ways down the middle and use that. I've got a little garlic that we're going to use, and I've got an onion. I've got a red onion. It does not matter. The onion is optional as well. You can leave it out. We're going to basically just pull a couple slices off of that to do what we're doing today. So I'm going to move everything over to the sink, and we're going to wash everybody that needs washing right quick.
And the eggplant, you can obviously add more. This is just for the two of us, so we're just making the eggplant that we'll eat. The potatoes we'll eat leftovers for breakfast. The eggplants, not so much. So if you have more people, feel free to add more veg.
Yeah, this again, the whole thing is going to be on a sheet pan, and that's how it's going to cook. So you could also sub out some of the potatoes with other root vegetables. You could do some carrot, you could do some parsnips or turnips if they're in season when you're making this. Just remember, you're going to need them to cook along with everything else. So the denser stuff you're going to want to cut smaller than the less dense stuff as far as the root veg goes. But yeah, obviously you can do anything you want to. You can cook just the chicken and leave it be like that. This recipe just uses the veg. So we're just going to play with it for there. But yeah, feel free to play around with it. And
eat whatever's in season.
That's it. And what you like. You know, if you don't like X ingredient, don't use it. Use something else. Just work it out how you need it to work and then figure out what you did wrong when it's done with. All right, we're going to get these guys washed. All right. So.
Turn it on. Hopefully it's still on.
Yeah.
Yay, victory.
Okay. All right. What's up?
The world's saddest dog is watching us.
No.
He's looking hopeful. He's hoping we're making dinner.
Yeah.
Such a hopeful dog. Yes, you are.
All right.
Those are pretty sandy potatoes. Because
Well,
they are. Well, they're right out of the field. I mean, you can't get fresher, so I'm not complaining. Especially since you're doing all the washing.
Yeah, man.
This is nice.
Little chicken potatoes are hilarious.
They're so cute.
All right.
And you know, baby russets not something you find a whole lot.
What's that?
The baby russets, they're kind of rare.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. More people should do baby russets. They're
Well,
wonderful.
I suspect it's probably more a question of what makes it the market that does it. If you're not buying it out of the market, like we're lucky enough to,
Yeah.
probably not a big market for it in the grocery store.
They are doing a little bit more baby potatoes in the store, so
Yeah.
maybe they'll start going that way. That's the wonderful thing about the farmers market. They're always bringing us new, exciting things that we didn't know existed.
And that's one of the things that if you don't know, you should know. Everything at the store being nice and uniform is great and all, but that is not obviously how things grow. There's a lot of wastage that gets done simply because people won't buy something that doesn't look exactly like what it's supposed to look like.
Exactly.
And so using some of that material, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not the ideal. And teaching yourself that will not only save you money, get you a lot better produce sometimes in the long run.
Much better flavor.
Yeah, and it's also just a lot better for everybody involved. Having to throw something away because it doesn't look right is just a stupid way to conduct anything.
And if you're at a market and you see something and you don't know how to cook it, ask the farmer. They'll tell you.
They grow it.
They have a favorite way to cook it.
Yeah, as chances are if they don't sell it, they're going to have to eat it.
Yep.
So
That's dinner tonight.
that's right. Now we've got the potatoes and the eggplant. We are going to get 4 cloves of garlic. Doot doot. All right. Covered in garlic paper.
That stuff is very staticky.
It works.
It believes in it.
All right. So we got our garlic cloves. I'm gonna take my onion. Probably gonna use a knife just to be contrary about this whole thing.
Oh, I only got you a chicken knife, sorry.
No, it's all right. I normally would use it, just lick it off, but people get all whiny about stuff.
Mostly me.
Yeah,
I
pretty
get
much, yeah.
pretty outspoken against that sort of thing.
Now this again is one of those just sort of do what makes you feel good. I just like to do a couple of slices of onion, break them up into the bigger rings just because I think it looks pretty on the pan. You can leave this whole step off if you like. You can use less, use more, bigger onion, smaller onion. No one cares. Your chicken. All right.
The world's most pitiful dog supervising. Is it time to eat yet?
I should have that dog's problems.
Just look at this. I'm starving. I'm wasting away.
Yeah.
I don't think he believes me.
I definitely don't believe you. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the garlic. Just got the cloves separated out.
Don't forget they're fresh.
Yeah, so this is what we use to get the garlic easy where we want it. I've already got garlic paper stuck to the knife. This is nice, fresh, great garlic from a neighbor of ours. So this trick works, but you don't need quite as much oomph as you do with the store-bought garlic that's maybe a little drier. So take the flat of your knife, lay it down along the garlic clove on the fat part, give it a tap with the heel of your hand. It will generically just sort of break the skin up. Usually mashes the garlic a little bit, which is good because this is just going to be a coarse chop when we're done anyway. So smashing it up is not a big deal. So again, same trick. Donk. Donk.
That one's smushed.
Yeah, man. Donk. All right. How are you?
We are spoiled for the good veg. And the best way to have good veg in your area is to support the farmers who are growing it. Take the effort, go out, buy it directly from the market, from the farmers at the market, and that way they can keep growing it. And you will continue to have good veg in your area. It's a symbiotic relationship. They need you to buy it, you need them to grow it.
That's it. It's also good to develop a relationship with the farmers, even if it's just a hey, how you doing? Because again, you can learn a lot of stuff. Ways to cook things, what's coming in next, stuff you may like that you didn't know about. If they see you buying something, they may know something else that you would enjoy. So build up a bit of a relationship with your farmers if you're lucky enough to have one. Regular.
Yes.
Because it will pay off in the long run.
This entire meal has come from the market.
Except for the purple onion, I think, yeah. Or did we get the purple onion?
We got the purple onion from the market.
Nice. Oh. Excuse me. All right, so I got my veg. I'm gonna go get my big bowl. Back. Take my garlic, just rake it off into the big bowl. Take my onions, again, just gonna break them up into rings. Save those fellas for a project. All right.
That's a good idea. Save your little bits for chopping up.
Oh yeah, you're gonna want one for breakfast or something next day. A little bit of onion always has something. Now we're taking the eggplants again, and I am just going to cut them long ways down the center. Now, if you had one big eggplant, some smaller globe eggplants, different kinds. Again, we just started with a 1/4 pound just because it's just us. Just, again, cut them up how you would like
If
them.
it was a full-size eggplant, maybe rings.
Rings, and if you are using a full-size regulation eggplant, the big purple fellows that most folks identify as an eggplant, you would probably also want to dewater it a little bit. So you basically cut it into rings, put a little salt, lay it out on a sheet pan, put a little salt on it, and
Show the people how pretty those middles are.
oh, yeah, let me top off of this next one. And basically just let it sit for 50 minutes, half hour, and then take a clean towel or a paper towel and blot the excess water off. And then right before you're ready to actually cook them or put them into the mix, you would rinse the excess salt off of them. But with a big eggplant, that's the inside of our
Isn't that pretty?
ones. Again, these guys are gorgeous. No idea what kind this is. It's an eggplant of some sort.
They're whatever our farmers are growing.
That's what they had in front with a
That's
sign
right.
that said eggplant. It
And
was
we said,
easy.
oh, aren't those cute? They'll go well with our Greekish chicken.
That's it. But yeah, the big eggplants, dewatering them not only makes the flesh a little firmer, it's also supposed to help get rid of a little of the bitterness you sometimes get when you're cooking those guys. All right, now with the potatoes, again, we're going to pull out the larger ones. None of these are obviously baking potatoes, but we're going to get the fellows that are more than bite size-ish. And we're just going to cut those in half. If you have a bigger one, again, you can do, quarters, obviously. And if you were using full-size potatoes, use what you got, use what's coming in. But you just cut them up into pieces, bite-size-ish, whatever makes you the happiest. Doot.
Those pretty little potatoes.
They're pretty good flavor too.
Mm-hmm.
I like the yellow potatoes.
And this meal is also going to be great for us because in a day or two we will take the leftovers and make another meal out of them.
Yeah.
Probably turn the chicken into a pita and have that for a meal later this week. So this effort isn't just getting you one meal, unless of course you have a horde of kids, which you'll be lucky if you get a meal out of that.
Use a bigger chicken.
It can provide leftovers. If you have a horde of kids, maybe do 2 chickens. Really not much more work, and we'll still end up giving you some leftovers.
Yeah, and again, that's another virtue of the spatchcock method is it does give you the whole bird to work with pretty much the ease and simplicity of buying a container of cut up bits and pieces at the store. So you can usually get a little bit more out of it for not a whole lot of extra effort. So
Definitely.
1 meal versus 2 meals versus 1, so to speak.
Saves time, money, and effort.
Exactly.
And
All right.
having the oven on, because let's face it, it's hot out there right now.
That's it. So that's our veg. We're good with that. The next bit is just going to be a little bit of prep together type stuff to get ready for the actual assembly. So I've got a ramekin, a small bowl, and a large bowl. Excuse me. Now, in our large bowl, we are going to get together the marinade, I guess you would call it, the coating for our vegetables. So I'm using a big bowl because I'm going to whisk this when I'm done. So I've got my measuring.
Wasteful out of the way.
I'm going to eat that. Pansy. All right, so I got 3 tablespoons of oil. We are just using kitchen oil, You can use whatever makes you the happiest.
Kitchen oil makes it sound like you made it out of kitchens.
What's that? Well, yeah, you
And you
squeeze
squeeze the
them.
kitchen.
Yeah. Well, it's extra virgin kitchen oil, so it's
I've
a
seen
new
some greasy
kitchen.
kitchens. Oh, it's a new kitchen.
Yeah, not that crappy old kitchen.
Fancy.
We got 2 tablespoons of lemon juice.
We didn't squeeze the lemons either, so.
And you can.
You totally can.
Get you a couple fresh lemons. If you're going to go the route to take the time to do fresh lemons, you can zest them and put them in the various seasoning bits, and it would be very, very tasty. No question about that at all.
We do love fresh citrus,
That's
but having a nice high quality lemon juice on hand is also really good. This particular one has no preservatives. It's lovely.
All right, so we're going to take some oregano.
Oregano.
Yeah, man. We're using 1.5 teaspoons of oregano. My eyeballs work. 1.5.
If you have fresh oregano, use a tablespoon.
Yes.
It's not oregano season right here. Most of our herbs, except for I think the basil, have given up the ghost due to the season that we're in right now. But if you're further north than us, you may still be in herb season. Or if you keep fresh herbs in your house, that is a talent we don't possess. We are not herb growers. We go to a farmer's market for a reason, because the farmers know what they're doing.
We got 3/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper. Make sure I'm using the right spoon.
The white pepper's for me. If you like regular pepper, use
That's
regular
fine.
pepper. I have issues with the shell, bark, coating outside.
Craziness? Yes. What'd you say?
Anyways, so you can use regular pepper if you're not me.
That's it. All right, so again, 3 tablespoons of oil, 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, 3/4 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1/4 teaspoon of white pepper, 1.5 teaspoons of oregano.
Yes, and I'll have all of this in
it'll be in the description.
Now we're whisking, kind of like it's almost a vinaigrette of sorts. You've got your acid and your fat.
Yeah.
Is it still a vinaigrette if it's not vinegar?
No, actually, I think that's
What does one call it?
It's an oil-aigrette.
An oil-aigrette.
Oil-aigrette.
That's a bird I don't want to run into.
That's right.
That over there is the elusive oil-aigrette.
And that was probably way more bold than I needed, but these things will happen.
He's an active whisker, you know?
That's right, that's right. So I'm going to take this, get a little spatula, and I'm just going to spatula it in. Now it is fairly thick, which is exactly what you want, so I'm just going to spatula this in on top of my veg.
Spatula it in.
Yes, that is the correct verb form.
I like it, I like it.
To have had spatulaed.
Will have had spatulaed?
Yes, Jake spatulaed, Jane despatulaed. All the little spatulas.
See Fido do the spatula.
Everybody's saying, all right, and then we're just going to take this and we're just going to toss it.
Pretty. I like the purples. We have like a theme going on here. We've got the purples with the plant and the eggplant and the onion.
Yes, wow.
Color coordinating.
Totally
Ooh.
my plan.
Look at you, Mr. Fancy Man.
It's true. It's true. All right. We're not worried about too much at this point because it's going to sit for a little bit while we finish up. So again, we're going to retoss that when we're done. All right. This fella goes. All right. Next little bowl. We are going to do our, basically what we're going to put on our chicken. So I've got 3 tablespoons of oil. Stay.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't realize the chicken herbs had oil, so it helps it stick to it.
Exactly. It's basically a much thicker version of the exact same thing. It's going to be the same ingredients, different quantities, more. Yeah.
I totally didn't just steal your lemon juice.
Yeah, I know. So we have 3 tablespoons of oil. We're going to do 1 tablespoon of lemon juice for this.
Well, you're doing this video for a reason. This is your dish.
That's it. That's it. And it's got basically this one is going to have a lot more solids in it, so it's going to be more of a paste, whereas this is more of a coating. So that.
Chicken paste.
All right. And then we're going to do the oregano. And the oregano is going to be a bunch. It's basically a tablespoon and then a teaspoon and a half. So 4.5 teaspoons. That does not fit in there. 2.
It's because your teaspoons are weird.
What?
My tablespoon fits in the jar.
Yes, well, you know, once again, you are superior. We can stop talking about it now. Blah,
What?
blah, blah.
I don't think we should stop talking about it.
Or, I think it'd be handy if they just wrote it on much bigger letters than my poor tired eyes can
They
see.
really should. There needs to be.
Should be stamped in like giant something.
In a different color.
Yep.
For sure.
Or just if someone that comes with them to stand there and tell you. That's the quarter tablespoons.
Your measuring spoon butler.
Exactly. All right, so we're going to take this. Now, this does not have any salt and pepper in it because
I was
we are
just
actually.
about to ask.
Ha ha!
Because why?
I'm gonna interview host you. That's a good question. Of course. I'm
really
a professional.
I was about to ask if you knew that you had to put the salt in.
I'm a professional interview person. Of course, it's a good question. Get off my show. That'd make me mad if that was my job. You know? That's a good question, Dave. No crap. That's why I've got a show, and you're just some rando.
Somebody has to do it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So again, we're just getting that nice and thick. All right, that sets to the side. And then we're getting our salt and pepper together in a small ramekin because we're actually going to just put that on the bird
So
as
you're
we
gonna
put
have
it together.
chickeny fingers.
Well, that just so you can mix it. So in the ramekin, we're going to do 2 teaspoons of salt.
I'm stealing your onion bits and putting them with the rest of the onion.
Whatever.
I'm an onion organizer.
Mm-hmm. And then we're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper.
Again, you can use regular pepper if you prefer.
They know.
Not everybody knows how picky I am. Unless you've like waited on me at a restaurant
I was
or
gonna say,
cooked
yeah,
for
I'm
me
pretty sure they do.
or
I've seen your
eaten
picture
near me.
before. All right, and then we're just going to take this. We get a fork, which I already had out. No questions about that.
Yeah, that random opening and closing of a drawer was totally unrelated.
That's right, it's the dog. Yeah.
I think if you don't forget one thing you need while you're cooking, your dish is doomed.
Oh yeah, Lord.
You need to forget something.
Yeah, if you've got the whole thing going together. Speaking of forgetting stuff, we didn't, but I did forget to mention it. The oven is preheating at 475.
I will put that in the
475,
directions.
yes.
I'll
So
put
we
that in
started
the
off with the oven preheating. I did not forget to start preheating it, but I did forget to tell you about it. Okay. So at this point, we're actually ready to start assembly. So I have a regular old sheet pan, which I'm going to cough on.
Yeah.
We're just going to take a little bit of oil, put it on the sheet pan. You can use a pastry brush, but I just want to put a real thin coat of oil more or less on all the surfaces just to keep stuff from sticking. There's a good bit of oil in the various marinades and such. This may not be 100% necessary, but I don't trust my luck. So, all right, so again, just a nice thin layer of oil. You could use a spray oil, I suppose, be just as good. Set that off to the side. Well, that spot I missed. All right, now, so while the bird is still in the dirty rack, we're going to get a handful of paper towels.
Are we?
I like that noise.
It's because you're getting to the end of the roll.
Oh, yeah. All right, so I got a couple paper towels. I got a couple paper towels in reserve. All right, so I'm going to take the bird. I'm going to flip him over breast side down, skin side down. And take the paper towels, and I'm going to just blot him off. Clean up anybody that needs cleaning up. Where's my garbage bowl? Thank you. All right, so again, we're just going to pat this old fella dry. Now we're doing this first stage in the rack.
For a reason.
There is a method. So
To his madness.
that's it. So we're going to take the salt and pepper.
And this is why it's in the ramekin, because his fingers are chicken.
Oh, yeah.
And this way you're not getting other stuff chicken in.
The amount, as far as how much you're using, mixed in like this, it's generally designed to mix to be more than you're going to want. So you don't use all the salt and pepper. That is fine. It's kind of there, so you've got some to slop around. You don't want to use more than, say, half if you're paying attention. So we're going to just pat that down into the dry chicken. All right, now, can you come over this side?
Yes.
I'm going to pick this fella up. Would you switch the two? Move
Yes.
that off
Yes.
and put the sheet pan down. All right, so we're going to the sheet pan, cut side down. So now we've got the skin side up on our sheet pan.
Because that bottom's been seasoned and is ready to go.
So then we're going to dry this off, again, just like we did the bottom, with a fresh set of paper towels. The drying, weirdly enough, is going to help it crisp up a little bit. It is not the end of the world if you forget to dry it off before you season it, but it will give you a little bit better result as far as getting the skin to crisp up and whatnot. So we've got the fella again. He's cut side down now. We're going to take what's left of our salt and pepper mixture, and we're just going to sprinkle it over the top. Now again, as I showed earlier, I will take one apart and do it again right quick. We took the wing tips and we just took the tip of the wing, took it kind of over the wing itself and put the tip down behind the breast. That's just going to keep those tips from browning up too much. Kind of like when you make a Thanksgiving turkey, sometimes you wrap the wing tips in tinfoil if they start to get a little too brown. This keeps them under the meat so that they don't get brown and burned up. All right, now we got this fella here. I'm going to go wash my hands off right quick, and then we're going to coat the chicken, and we're going to finish her up, and then she goes in the oven.
So you're going to wash your hands before you coat the chicken? Because you're going to use a spatula.
I'm not washing my hands. I'm just getting the salt and grit off of them.
Got it.
So do not, from this stage, if you are me, stick your hand in your mouth. This is just me, so I don't have that salt and
Don't stick your
stuff.
hand in your mouth anyway.
All these rules.
I know, right?
All right, so we're taking our slurry in our small bowl. This is our oil, lemon juice, and oregano.
But not salt and pepper.
Nope, salt and pepper's on the bird.
That's smart.
And then we're just going to spoon this over.
Very herby.
And then just mash it around.
Smear it.
That's it. All right. Now, gonna take the last sprinkle.
Ah.
Fancy.
Clever trick.
Exactly. All right. So we got the chicken. We're going to take our vegetable mix. I'm going to give it just a quick toss since it has been sitting for a bit, just to recoat everything. Basically, we're just making sure we've got the oil mix on everything for flavor and also so that it will cook.
And not stick to the pan.
Exactly. All right, and then we're just going to take this and just kind of pour it off around the chicken. There's a theory that you can probably do this where you're not going to have to go back and rearrange it. I don't know how that works, so just do the best you can with what you got.
And it doesn't matter if you touch the chicken, the vegetables right now with your chickeny hands, because it's all going in a 475-degree oven.
Yeah.
It's cooking with the chicken, obviously, but just in case your base instinct, like mine would be like, no, don't touch that. Yeah. But it's fine. Everything's cooking together.
Yeah, this is not an a sous vide situation or no, not sous vide. What's the raw one? The hamburgery one.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for asking a word I don't know. My mind just went completely blank.
All right. Tartare.
That's it.
Not a chicken tartare type situation. Thank
I don't think
goodness.
we're ever going to have a recipe for chicken tartare if I
don't
have
know.
any say about it.
Yeah, you know.
And you'll notice Eric's putting a little cut side down on the eggplant so they get a little brown on them because it's delicious.
Yeah.
The potatoes don't matter so much, but the eggplants definitely, if you can get most of them to touch the pan, it gives them a lovely little
This is also going to cook it's going to basically start at the temperature that we've already hit. It's then going to go to a slightly lower temperature. There's a couple times you're going to take it out, look at it, turn it or whatever. So you're going to have time to kind of stir the vegetables around if you need to. So if you notice that something is getting a little more done than you like or not done enough, you can again just work everything around. It's one of those that's just going to cook till it's done.
It's already pretty. Look how pretty that is. All the yellows and purples.
Now I'm going to go and wash my hands. Would you just go ahead and stick that old boy in the oven? Again, our oven has been preheating. It's at 475. The rack is going to be in the middle position. And we're just going to put the pan in just like that. And we're going to start our first timer, which is going to be for 15 minutes. He hopes he remembers correctly.
Alright, putting the rack in the middle position because it wasn't already. There we go. It's in the middle position now. The chicken is going in.
Alright, and we'll come back in just a few minutes when it is time to turn. And again, we're 15 minutes on our first timer.
Alright. Let's see. Set. 15. Start. Alright.
All right, folks, we just hit our first 15 minutes. So I'm going to set this old fella out just so you can take a look at him.
Oh, doesn't it look gorgeous already?
All right. So that's coming up. Now, while we got it out, we are going to take the oven. We're going to reset the temperature to 400. Oh, is that right? 400. 400, like I said. We set it to 400. We're going to put this old fella back in.
You didn't hit bake.
Let me get him back in the oven and I'll take care of everything.
Make sure your oven stays on. Our oven's very fussy. You have to hit bake within like 2 seconds of setting the temperature.
All right, so we took it out, we turned it, we set the oven down to 400, and we're going back in for another 15 minutes, and then we're going to see what's going on.
So hit the time. Oh, she's looking pretty.
That's it. All right, folks. Well, this is our second turn. What we're doing is I'm bringing it out and setting it here so the camera can catch it, but basically all you're doing at your house is just every time the timer goes off, you're turning the tray around the other direction. So we're going to turn this back in. You can see we're starting to pick up a lot of nice brown. None of the vegetables really look like they're going too far, so I'm just going to leave everything alone. We're going to put this back in for another 15 minutes. At the end of that time, we're going to start temping stuff to see about how it's doing. Depending on the temperature of the bird, the size of the bird, it's going to cook a little bit different every time. But ideally, at about 45 minutes, we should be getting close to done. So we'll start checking it from there.
Pretty, pretty.
Yay!
I was just gonna ask if you wanted me to get that.
Mm-mm. All right. Oh, wow.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's the kind of steam I like.
That's it. All right. Well, there we are. Coming off the third turn.
Pretty pretty.
That's it. Second.
Now it's really purple and gold.
Mm-hmm. All right. Now, at this point, hopefully we're at or close to done. So what we're going to do is we're going to temp it to see what the internal temperature is. We're looking for the thickest part, which is usually going to be out around where the thigh and the leg come together. You just want to make sure that you don't get into a bone, touch a bone rather. You want it just to be in the meat. At 198.
Oh, gorgeous.
So that's
How
all.
the breast looking?
$170. So that'll roll up when it sits for a few minutes, and that should be good to go.
You want to poke a potato?
Let's see.
They look wrinkly, so
Yeah, they're done.
usually when you bake a skin on a potato like that, you can look at the skin. The wrinkles in the skin kind of tell you, but
I think
it's
our
good to check.
I think our eggplants have turned into eggplant dip.
They'll be good with the potatoes.
Oh yeah. Perfect. So that's her. You're going to want to let this sit for a few minutes, just to cool off a little bit, let the meat juices reposition and whatnot inside the bird. But that's it. That's the whole shebang right there. What we're going to do when we deplate this, I'm going to move the chicken off after it sits for a few minutes over to a cutting board. We're going to pour all the vegetables just off into a pan with the pan juice. You can pick them up with a slotted something if you don't want the pan juice.
Pan juice is delicious.
Well, but you can, is my point.
No.
I don't need any type of
They do.
People
Eat the pan juice. Eat the pan juice. It's delicious. Send me your pan juice if you're not going to eat it.
That's weird. But anyway, so that's it. That's the whole shebang right there. And again, very flexible. You can change, obviously, the flavor profiles and all of the coatings and stuff. Like I said, this is just sort of vaguely Greek-like with the lemon and the oregano. You can change it around, fresh herbs, whatever makes you happy.
You could use some sage and thyme, and it'd be Thanksgiving-y.
Yeah.
You could use some dill.
Apparently, paprika and a handful of other, like a spicy type setup. You can do that, especially if you've got something that holds up well to it.
That would be very lovely.
Put it on the pan.
So we'll see you all in a few more minutes, and Eric will show you how to finish cutting up the chicken.
Olives come in their own container? I need to work.
Oh, sorry.
All right, folks, that's our 5-minute rest timer going off. Shut that up. I threw a little piece of foil over this, mostly just out of habit. Again, we were just giving it 5 minutes to rest. It's going to let the meat cool slightly, but it's going to let the juices in the meat redistribute a little bit so you don't get dry spots or that sort of thing. Just going to take our foil off. Move this fella off for a second and get a cutting board out.
Sure is pretty.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. And there we go.
I got you a plate.
Thank you. All right. Now breaking this down, you're basically just going to do it like you would if you were setting it up to cook it in individual pieces. We're going to start by splitting the bird. So you're just going to go right down that center line again. The breastbone's going to obviously be a little stiff. So just get in there and just kind of lever through.
Beautiful.
That's you. Okay. The spatchcocking is also a nice setup because it sort of lays the bird out to where it's set up for breaking down. So you're going to cut here, removing the breast from the thigh and leg. So right just along this crease. Again, just slide the knife in, lever down.
Like butter.
Exactly. And then taking the leg off, you're just going to aim for where the joint is. Now you should have free, clean movement once the chicken's up to temp. So your joint's about right there. And again, just find it and lever through it. So that's your leg, your thigh. Now when we cut the wing off, we don't go to the actual joint. Cut the wing off a little generous so you get a little white meat from the breast with the wing. So again, just cut in a little ways, come down through the bone.
That way everybody gets a nice chunk of meat.
Exactly. And this next step is not necessary, but it does make the bird a little bit more equitable. And this is especially true if you got one of the store-bought birds, which they concentrate so much into getting that giant breast. So instead of just leaving the breast as one piece here, we're going to go to about the center point and we're going to cut it down.
And it's also great if you have kids.
Yeah.
They both want, the breast meat, and they're not going to eat that huge chunk.
Yeah.
This gives you a lovely.
Yeah, most people are going to want to go for the white meat because they're weird.
I like the white meat.
But again, especially with a store-bought bird, because they're all breast meat now. So with a 3-pound bird, you've got 2.5 pounds of breast. So somebody winds up with a piece of meat like a whole darn roast, and the other people just get the regular old stuff. So again, cutting the breast in half again will get you a little bit more spread around.
So your pieces are very close to each other in size, and
you can actually do this at the beginning of the process. So say I was going to barbecue this and I wanted to go ahead and break the bird down before I barbecued it versus barbecuing it just spatchcock and breaking it down after. You can cut the breasts like this up, just being careful to try to keep the skin on if that's what you're going for. And again, if you were frying or grilling the breast in 2 pieces, especially a store-bought breast, takes a little bit off of that whole. The breast has to grill for 45 minutes because it's the size of a rib roast, and the rest of the chicken's getting done faster, so you're out there standing in the bugs, flipping the breasts over, trying to get them done. So again, this works either before or after the bird's cooked, just to make it even out. Also probably for like braising or something if you were doing the chicken cut up into a stew or something.
Or a a la king type situation or something like
something
that.
like that.
And I'll talk him into frying us some chicken sooner rather than later, and he can show you the cut up raw chicken. At that point, we'll add that to our list.
And because this is just Christy and I, this is going to do us for a dinner, obviously, and then some. So I'm going to leave that other part just as is, the other half, which again is nice because it's going to put up a little better. It'll reheat better because again, it's one big piece. So if you're planning on doing this later on for leftovers, the spatchcock's going to keep the bird whole. And so when you do heat it back up or whatever, unless you want to pull the meat first, it's going to give you a better product the second go round versus individual pieces that are going to dry out.
Because I love me a leftover.
That's it. But that's it. That's the whole shebang. And again, we're just going to basically pour the vegetables off, make a plate and go from there. But this is your baby. So this is a spatchcock chicken done in a faux Greek style.
With pan vegetables.
Yep. And that's us. Thank y'all for watching.
Enjoy. Now feed me.
Okay.